Hey everybody, Mac here, and we're going to work on problems with different denominators. And just like the addition, there's a few ways we can do it. So for example, if I were to do 2/3 minus, let's just go 1/4, one way I can get common denominators is just to multiply them together, okay? And then once I multiply the denominators together, I get a common denominator. Look on the left. What's that 3 missing? Well, for 3 to get 12, I've got to times them by 4. Whatever I do on bottom, I have to do on top. Look at the second one. What do I have to do with the 4 to make them say 12? Well, I got to multiply by 3. Cool. Whatever you do on bottom, you have to do on top. That's going to be 5/12. That's just an example of something you may have done in elementary school, okay? But now we're in algebra. We're more sophisticated now. So now what are we going to do? Same thing, guys. You're just going to go x plus 1, and we're just going to write it factored like that. Okay, so now this one gets a little trickier. This needs an x plus 1, and this needs an x to give them both, right? So this one is going to be times by an x plus 1. So now once I go like that, I'm going to get a 3x plus 3, and this one is just going to be a 1x. But now watch this. Let me go blue here, add a line, change the sign. So this is going to say minus a 1x. Then you're going to finish that out. You're going to get a 3x minus x, and that's going to end up being a 2x plus 3, and then we'll just copy the denominator, okay? Hope that was okay. If not, let's do a few more. You'll get it. All right, so number 2, first thing we're going to do is I can't find a way to make these common other than multiplying them together. So I'm going to times this by an x minus 2, and I'm going to times this by an x. When I do, my common denominator is going to be x minus 2. Now, if I did this on the bottom, I've got to do it on top. And when I go boom, boom, and FOIL, I get a 5x minus 10. This is going to be times by an x. Okay, add a line, change the sign, and I'm going to write a plus negative 2x. And that was the difference of why we did subtraction here. Okay, so now that's going to turn out to be a 3x minus 10 over an x and an x minus 2. And there we go. Oops, finish that off. Okay, let's keep going. All right, so this one, again, this one needs to be multiplied by x. This one needs to be multiplied by an x plus 2. All right, well, this first part is pretty easy. First of all, what's my common denominator? X plus 2. All right. Now on top, that's just a 4x. That's easy. Now, I'm going to write it a little bit differently. I'm going to write this minus sign right here. Okay, and it's a 1 times an x plus 2. Now, as I keep going on this, and I do have room here, 4, now I'm going to distribute through. Minus x minus 2, and that's the big one. A lot of people write a plus 2 there. Make sure you put a minus, and that's going to be an x and an x plus 2. Okay, so now looking at my like terms, which are these, if I go add a line, change a sign, I'm going to end up getting 2 minus x over x plus 2. All righty? These get a little bit tricky, but if you follow the process, you're going to do okay. So this one, I am on the thinnest I can write here. I'm just really zoomed up. So this is going to be an x plus 4, and this is going to be an x. Okay, and that, when it's all written out, is going to be an x and an x plus 4. All right, so let's do it. The left needs an x plus 4, and the right is going to need an x. So once I distribute it, that's going to be a 7x plus 28 minus 2x. All right, and so now if I look at my like terms, which are those, make sure I do the minus sign as well. 7x minus 2x is 5x plus 28 all over x plus 4. Cool? All right, let's keep going. Number 5, if I multiply these together, ooh, this is going to be a little bit nastier, but that's okay. This needs an x plus 2, and that needs an x minus 1. Okay, and when we put it all together, My denominator will be x plus, well, let me write it the way it first shows up on the left. X minus 1, x plus 2. If I wrote x plus 2, x minus 1, would that be okay? The answer is yeah, it totally would have. Okay, so now this one, this person needs an x plus 2. Fine, let's distribute, and we'll get a 6x plus 12. Cool? Now, this one I want to write out so that it doesn't get too confusing. I want you to write that as a negative 3, minus 3, parentheses, and this needs the x minus 1. Okay? And do it there on that phase. Okay, because when you get minus signs, it's better to really slow everything down. Now, that needs to be distributed through as well. So I'm going to get 6x plus 12. Negative 3 times x is negative 3x. Negative 3 times negative 1 is a positive 3. That right there is where most people will make their mistakes. Okay? All right, put all this together. Why don't I kind of go down to finish this one? So let's see. My like terms, I have a 6x minus 3x, and that'll give me a 3x. Okay? Then I have a positive 12 and a positive 3. That'll give me a positive 15 over x minus 1, x plus 2. But look, I can factor something out. I can factor out a 3. I'll get an x plus 5. And this will give me an x minus 1. And this will give me an x plus 2. And I am done. Now, say if that was an x minus 1 on top, I could factor out the entire parenthesis. But it wasn't. Okay, let's keep going. Boom. Oh, hey, I like this. They both have x minus 3s. That means our denominator is the same, so I literally just do that. Okay, 4x plus negative 1x is a 3x over x minus 3. Okay, can I cancel out the 3's or the x's? Nope, because of the plus sign. Once you see a plus or minus, don't start canceling anymore, okay? Let's go on to number 7. All right, so the signs are different, but that doesn't matter. You know, the denominators, those, it might as well say x minus 8. It doesn't matter. Okay, they are different. So this one is going to need a full-blown x minus 1, and this one's going to need an x plus 1 when I multiply them together. Okay, so that's going to be an x plus 1 and an x minus 1. All right, so let's do the first one. X times x is x squared. X times negative 1 is a negative x. All right, so now I'm going to do this a little differently than we've done before because I'm trying to go slowly and build. I'm going to see that as a negative x. What is a negative x times x? That's a negative x squared. Now, what is a negative x times a positive 1? Negative x. Okay, and then once I start playing this game here, add a line, change a sign, add a line, change a sign, add a line, change a sign. Okay, well, let's see. I've got an x squared, a little bit better, plus a negative x squared. What's an x squared plus a negative x squared? 0. What is a negative x plus a negative x? Negative 1 plus negative 1 is a negative 2x. Okay, over an x plus 1, x minus 1. All right, let's go on to the last one. Oh, no, I have 9. Boy, I gave a lot of problems, didn't I? That's all right. Here we go. This is going to be an x plus 2, and that needs an x, which means the top needs an x plus 2, and this one needs an x. Okay, so now my common denominator, I'm just going to multiply them together. All right, boom, boom, 8x plus 16. And then now, remember, that's a negative 3 times x. That'll give me a negative 3x. Okay, looking at my like terms, I see that I have an 8 minus 3. And that'll give me just a normal everyday 5x plus 16 over x plus 2. And I'm done. Now I'm on the last one of the column. And on this one, again, same thing. We just multiplied them by each other. This one's going to get an x plus 1, and this one's going to need an x minus 4. Okay, so now let's multiply them together, and I'm going to get an x minus 4 and an x plus 1. All right, so the first one, we just distribute, boom, boom. That'll give me 5x plus 5, cool. But now this one, again, how do I think about this? Think about it as a negative 2, not a 2. Negative 2 times x is negative 2x. Negative 2 times negative 4 is a positive 8. When I see most students make a mistake, they'll go negative 2 times x to get to negative 2x, but then they just do 2 times negative 4, and I'll write a negative 8. So that's where I want you to really, really, really be careful. So now if I look at my like terms, I have a 5x minus 2x. Well, what's 5x minus 2x? 3x. And then you see here, I've got a positive 5 and a positive 8. Well, that's just a positive 13. Anything I can pull out of that? No. So I'm just going to copy the bottom, and I'm done. There we go. Really ugly circle there, but I did the entire left-hand column. All right, let's do the right-hand column now. Same thing. There's no kind of, or what we call a least common denominator. When they're kind of all factored out like this, you're just multiplying them together. So here, we're just going to multiply the denominators together. So my common denominator, and I'm just showing you different ways. I haven't done it this way before. I just start right here. And I go, okay, well, the left needs to have both. So the bottom needs an x minus 1. So the top needs an x minus 1. The bottom has the x minus 1 and needs an x plus 2. Well, let's give them an x plus 2. All right, here we go. Doink, doink. 5x minus 5. Cool. Now, it's a negative 2. Negative 2 times x is negative 2x. Negative 2 times positive 2 is a negative 4. All right. So now, add a line, change the sign, add a line, change the sign, add a line, change the sign. Okay. My x's, I have a 5x plus a negative 2x. That becomes a 3x. Now look here, I have a negative 5 plus a negative 4. That is a negative 9 over x plus 2, x minus 1. Now I notice here that I can pull a 3 out on top, so I'm going to pull out a 3. I'm going to be left with an x minus 3 over an x plus 2, x minus 1. Remember, I just keep copying that denominator as we go. Now, if I could cancel something out, I would, but I can't, so I won't. All right, number 11. Here we go. This side, the left side, again, I keep doing these a little bit differently just so you can see different ways of doing this. Okay, so now I multiply them together, and my common denominator is x plus 3. Now look on the left. What's it missing? It has an x. Okay, it has the x plus 3, boom, boom, but it doesn't have the x. So he gets times by an x. This one has the x. It's missing an x plus 3, so this one gets the x plus 3. All right, well, x times x, that's x squared, pretty easy. Now let's times this by a negative 2. It's a negative 2x. Why did I write 26? That was weird. Negative 2x, and then I'm going to go minus 6. Now, are there factors of 6 that will subtract the 2? Well, 6 and 1 won't do it. 3 and 2 won't do it. So I'm done. But it is good to look to see if you can factor that x squared minus 2x minus 6, because it could come out to something that can cross out. But it didn't, so we're good. All right, so this one, again, I'm going to multiply those denominators together. I'm going to get an x minus 2 and an x plus 1. All right, well, let's look at this one. It has an x minus 2. What's he missing? He's missing the x plus 1. This one has the x plus 1. What's he missing? The x minus 2. Okay, this one's going to get a bit nasty, but that's okay. Let's do it. Okay, what's x plus 1 times x plus 1? Well, that's what we call a trinomial square. And when you FOIL it out, you're going to get the x squared. And then you're going to take the ones, add them together. You're going to get a plus 2x. Multiply them together. You're going to get the plus 1. Now, remember, keep that negative sign with it. That's the big lesson of this one. We did this whole extra 3 videos just because of that negative 3. What's a negative 3 times a negative 2? That's a positive 6. All right, so let's keep this thing going. X minus 2, x plus 1. Now, let's see what we got here. Okay, I have an x squared, and he has no friends, so I'm just going to write an x squared. Okay, let's look at my x's. I've got a positive 2 and I've got a negative 3, or plus and minus 3, if that helps you. What's a positive 2 plus a negative 3? Well, that's just a negative 1x. And looking at the numbers, I have a positive 1 and a positive 6. That'll give me a positive 7. Okay, there's nothing I can do with a positive 7. No factors. That'll give me a negative 1. So that's fully factored, and so that's my answer. Let's go on to number 13, okay? So this one, when I write my common denominator, I'm just going to go x plus 1. What's the bottom missing? He's missing an x. What's the bottom missing on the right? This one's missing an x plus 1. All right, so think about it now here. 2x times x, 2x squared. Now, a negative 1 times x is a negative 1x. Negative 1 times positive 1 is minus 1. All right, I'm looking right here. Am I going to be able to do a factors of maybe? Let's check it out. So I have a 2x and an x and a 1 and a 1, and my outies will become a 2x. My innies will become a 1x. Signs are different. Is there any way that I can make that work? Yeah, if that's a negative 2x and that's a positive x, that'll work. So that needs to be a minus and that needs to be a plus. So I'm going to get, my final answer is going to be 2x plus 1 times x minus 1 over x plus 1. Okay, and if that was a little weird to you, I've got a whole section under the factoring section, and that's when you have a leading coefficient, and I explained how to do that. So go back to that video, and that can help. All right? Okay, so this one, when we multiply them together, again, is just going to be an x plus 3 and x minus 2. What's this bottom missing? It's missing an x minus 2. So that's going to get an x minus 2. What's this bottom missing? Well, it has the x minus 2. It's missing the x plus 3. Now, when I multiply these together, don't just do the negative 2. Do the whole thing, and that's just like a FOIL problem, okay? And the FOIL problem, we learned they're x squared. Take the numbers, add them, minus 4x. Multiply them, plus 4. Now this, minus 2, we're multiplying by a negative 2. And that'll give me a negative 2x, and a negative 2 times a positive 3 is a negative 6. Now we're just going to combine our like terms. Okay, so I'm going to start with my x squared right there. He has no friends, so I'm just going to write x squared. Now I've got a negative 4x and a negative 2x. Remember, that's like adding a negative 2x. What's a negative 4 plus a negative 2? That would be a negative 6x. And I have a positive 4 minus 6, or plus a negative 6. And that's going to end up being a negative 2. Boom. It's very patriotic, all this red, white, and blue here. That's kind of nice. Okay, so, and I get here an x plus 3. Here I get an x minus 2. And I'm done. All right. Number 15. We're going to multiply the denominators together. That's how we're going to get our common denominator. And I'm going to get an x minus 1 and an x plus 2. All right, this has an x minus 1. X minus 1, it's missing the x plus 2. This one has the x plus 2. It's missing the x minus 1. Okay, and so now we're going to FOIL the left. We're going to treat it like that. X squared, add the numbers with the x term and multiply it for the third term. Here, remember, that's a negative 1 times x is minus 1x. And a negative 1 times a negative 1 is a positive 1. Now we're just down to combining our like terms. This is going to be an x minus 1, and this is going to be an x plus 2. Boom. I'm going to take the blue. X squared, he has no friends, so he's just going to be x squared. Now I'm going to go, let's do a circle because it's a little bit busy here, right? Boom and boom. Positive 6 minus 1, that's going to be a positive 5x. And lastly, I get this positive 8 and the positive 1. Well, that's just the positive 9. Now, is there any factors of 9 that'll add the 5? I can tell you right now, no. 9 and 1 won't, 3 and 3 won't. So we're done. Boom. All right, let's keep going. 16, 3 more here. X plus 5, x minus 5. Well, they're only different by a sign. Well, that's a big difference. Okay, it's just enough of a difference that we're just going to have to do this normal. Okay, so now this one has an x plus 5, and just to show you what I'm really doing, in case you're missing this step, this has the x plus 5, so it's missing an x minus 5. This one has an x minus 5, but it's missing an x plus 5. That's how I determine what I multiply up on top. Okay, so this one gets the x minus 5, because that's what the bottom is missing. This one gets the x plus 5, because that's what the bottom is missing. Now, when I do the distributive property, I get a 3x minus 15. And here, because I use the minus with the 2, it's a negative 2x. And it's a minus 10. Now, all I do is I combine my like terms. 3x minus 2x is just a normal everyday x. And a negative 15 plus a negative 10 is minus 25. And this will give me an x plus 5, x minus 5. Sorry, missed that right there. And that's it. Can I do anything with x minus 25? Nope. Now, that said x squared minus 25, I certainly could, but it doesn't. So I'm done. All righty, here we go. A couple more. Let's multiply these denominators together. This one's going to be an x and an x plus 4. All right, so what's the left missing? Okay, this one needs an x, so the top needs an x. This one needs an x plus 4, so this needs an x plus 4. So here we go. X times x, that'll give me my x squared. Now, use the negative. Negative 4 times x is a negative 4x. And a negative 4 times a positive 4 is a minus 16. Now, are there any factors of 16 that will subtract to a 4? 16 and 1? No. 8 and 2? No. 4 and 4? No. So I'm done. Well, what about the x and the x squared? Can I cancel those? Nope. The x squared is attached to the minus. That means that's a term, not a factor. Terms are added, subtracted. Factors are multiplied or divided. Okay, so factors, cancel it all you want. Terms, nope, you can't. All right, so this one's going to need the x plus 2, right? And this one's going to need the x minus 3. So this is going to need the x plus 2 also. And this is going to need the x minus 3. All righty, well, that's going to equal... All right, let's FOIL this together. Remember, when we FOIL, this is a trinomial square. But even if you don't see the pattern, remember, when we FOIL, you add to the middle and you multiply to the third. So it's just plus 4x plus 4. Same thing here. This is another FOIL. Okay, but now this one is a little trickier. So here's what I want to do. Because we're doing that, I'm just going to write the minus sign. All I did was take that minus sign and I wrote it there. But when you do this, you've got to keep a parenthesis and you've got to keep the next part separate. Now, let's go ahead and do all that. That's going to be an x squared. And then you add the numbers. That's going to be a negative 4x. And that's going to be a positive 3. That's just me working out the foiling. Over an x plus 2. X minus 3. Now watch what we're going to do here. Because I had to do that whole foiling right there, that minus sign is still there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a line, change everyone inside the parenthesis. All right, and then when we knock all that out, boom, that's going to be my x plus 2. That's going to be my x minus 3. Now watch this. X squared plus a negative x squared. That adds to a 0. 4x plus 4x, that's just an 8x. Okay, they're now done. Now I have a positive 4 plus a negative 3 plus 1. My friends, that's it. We just did it. We just did all 18 of those nasty fractions. Okay, and so there you go. Hopefully that helped you out. Now, we do have one more of these that we can do because sometimes you can't multiply them together. There's a different way of doing those, and you should really learn how to do those. So I'm going to encourage you, go to version C. You really don't know all of this, but once you do version C, you will. I'll see you guys there.